Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to The Prize Inside, the 1% Tribe tonight. I want to make sure I got everything. So hopefully you guys are hanging in there in Michigan. If you're from different locations around, we're getting a little bit of a heat wave. So in Michigan, we do as much as we can, and then you go hopefully back inside. So this morning we went. Lexi actually wanted to go golfing. So Rachel thinks I have some kind of weird thing about going on the hottest day. Something physiologically I really like is challenging my body, like being a Michigan guy my whole life. So I think there's something, getting out in that heat and just experiencing it and understanding you can get through this too without letting it overwhelm you. But we finished 9 holes. We about 10:30-ish. It wasn't too bad. If we would have waited any longer, it would have been trouble. But hopefully you guys are hanging in there. With the heat thing, it's only a couple more days. So, and then we'll be back to our gorgeous, I think this is going to set up for a gorgeous, summer and 4th of July anyway. So tonight I wanted to go over what they call the piriformis. The piriformis syndrome is what it is. And what's so significant about it and why, when people talk about it, I have a different perspective on how it actually, happens. We treat it pretty good if we know it's there, but tonight we'll go through a little bit of that. So with that said, make sure I'm getting up there in, I'm going to put in the comments below, where you can pick this up as a podcast. It's an app. I give you the Apple podcast link, but there's, anything. So look up The Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey. You will find it in everything, Spotify, those kind of things. And then of course I want to keep building my Rumble channel. I'm up to 41. I've broken the 40 mark. We are at 41. So if you find this interesting, the cool part of Rumble that I really like is it dissects each and every video. I used it with a patient the other day. I go, hey, listen, get on this Rumble channel. And I just talked in detail for an hour on whatever topic. I think it was vertigo. So all of those are there, and you kind of just scroll through. Hopefully I get better as I go, as these videos keep going, because I love it. That is good. And don't forget also on Wednesday night, we do one called Whole Health Weekly. Whole Health Weekly is, I'm going to probably go for 7:30 at night. If you don't catch the live, it's on the Rumble as well. And that's where we go through a lot of the health topics of that week. Okay. So different articles and those kind of things. And piriformis syndrome is kind of one of those popular takes. It's kind of trending in the social media areas. So I saw that and I thought this could be a good topic for you guys to just understand what's going on there and the difference really between that and sciatic nerve stuff. So with that said, I want to hit up a couple little research articles I found this week. I found one that was really cool on music therapy. So music therapy is actually, where did it go? Of course, I missed my spot. Where'd it go? Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, here we go. Harnessing the healing power of music. I won't read the whole thing, but it's recognized medically as a medically effective intervention for various conditions, including stroke, brain injury, and Parkinson's and dementia. It helps restore speech and improve movement and reduce anxiety. It's showing that it's really, really effective for a lot of these different things. Needing fewer, like after surgery, they need fewer pain pills. People feel less anxiety and overall. We'll probably go through that whole article. It may be at the Whole Health Weekly. So I thought that was a pretty cool article. The other one is the disrupted body clock. It can cause major problems. So understanding your circadian rhythm is a serious health risk that we have to start thinking about. And because it causes sleep issues, depression, but one of the big ones is metabolic dysfunction. So on top of trying to like eat right and do all these kind of things, you can actually literally hurt yourself by not having that good sleep pattern. So that's something to just remember as you go, because it's bigger than you think when you're like, oh, I can't sleep, or those kind of interesting things. And then I think that will do it. Oh, here's a good one. Eating fake meat. Okay, so eating fake meat raises your risk of depression and inflammation. A study found that vegetarians who ate plant-based fake meat are 42% more likely to experience depression than those who don't, even when factors like age, BMI, and lifestyle are taken into account. Eating fake meat leads to higher levels of C-reactive protein, or the CRP, that you see that in your blood work, a marker of systemic inflammation linked to chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and autoimmune disorders. So remember that as you go. Fake meat, if you're a vegetarian, there's nothing against that. The biggest thing is like understanding that vegetarian stuff, when they make this it's very, very processed. So why fight yourself on that? Okay. So don't pick up fake meat necessarily, because there's tons of places you can get your protein and all those things. I'm not a huge fan of vegetarianism because of the meat and the value that you get. In fact, in one of my herbal courses, the list of things that protein can help you with is pretty profound, just in the body's ability to produce and create those strong cells. So hello, Julie. All right. I love the heat. It does feel good under the fan too. I know some people just live for this stuff. A chubby white guy like myself isn't a huge fan, but it's okay. I'm starting to understand it more. Understanding it's so good for the body and the physiology, right? And what's cool about Michigan is it really challenges your physiology quite a bit, in the different things. Like, I wouldn't even thought when we had our June there, I didn't think our June would even get up to 80 necessarily get up to like 90s plus right now, but that'll go pretty quickly away as well. So we got to remember that. Okay. So let's get started on piriformis syndrome. I think you guys will like this. So we're going to talk about this in a few different aspects to it, and hopefully it'll make sense to you. Okay. What is piriformis syndrome? An important condition to understand when dealing with lower back pain, with your lower back in general. What are we going to go over tonight? What is piriformis syndrome? Why it may be more common than you actually think. Let's go into how we can avoid this and some at-home things we can do for solutions. And then what can we do for our 1% to constantly improve this condition? Okay. All right. So here's the definition of piriformis syndrome. So piriformis syndrome is a neuromuscular condition where the piriformis muscle, which we'll show you in a minute, located in the buttock region, compresses or irritates the sciatic nerve. And we all kind of know what that sciatic nerve is, but we'll go over that as well. This can cause pain, tingling, or numbness in the buttocks and down the leg, often mimicking sciatica. Okay, so sciatica and this they're really, really close, but they have two different kind of causations, and we'll talk about that. Symptoms typically include chronic discomfort or tightness in the glute area, worsened by sitting, climbing stairs, or activities involving hip rotations. It's often caused by muscle tightness, overuse, trauma, or anatomical variations. The sciatic nerve passing through the muscles. Sorry, my dogs threw me off there. Diagnosis is usually clinical, based on symptoms and physical tests, and treatments may involve stretching, physical therapy, chiropractic. We'll talk about that one. Anti-inflammatory meds, or in severe cases, you can get some surgeries going. Okay. So let's talk. Here's a picture of the lower buttock area. This is a picture of your pelvis. And if you look, that's the big, I would say here, those hip joints and those two big muscles are attached in this area called your sacrum. Okay. That is your sacral. That's your sacrum. Okay. No other way to put that. So the sacrum is sitting there. And what occurs in the human body is that you have the sciatic nerve actually run through, or basically have almost no room, but behind that piriformis muscle. Okay. So what it can, we'll go into, but that's how it's shaped. That's how it goes. The sciatic nerve comes from your fifth lumbars and your discs, those kind of things at the very top. And those discs start getting, in sciatica, you get the discs up top where the L5, L4, the disc herniation or the swelling or the bulges, those kind of things can cause a sciatic nerve kind of situation, right? But a piriformis muscle mimics almost exactly, because it's down the same pathway. But you can see that it could be another issue if the sciatic nerve isn't really the cause of it. Okay. All right. So here's kind of an idea. So we have these discs are way up top here, right? And you can see this green muscle here. So if this green muscle is tight, or it has inflammation in it, or, any of those kind of scenarios versus the opposite side. So that green and this muscly colored one, if they're different in some way, shape, or form, you're going to have an issue maybe getting that piriformis to do what you want it to do. Okay. So that piriformis might, have issues in there. Doesn't mean it has to, because this is a longer term play, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. So you have the piriformis muscle, and that piriformis muscle gets tight through there, right? And so as this piriformis muscle goes over that sciatic nerve, you can have issues. In fact, the biggest thing is that it mimics exactly like the disc sciatica that you hear about. Okay. How does this happen? This is a big kicker. Okay. So how does this stuff occur? It occurs with pelvis, foot, knee, or hip imbalances. And I can give you a myriad of other reasons, but these are all things that could potentially do it. In our 1% tribe, as we're talking about this, remember, there's several different causations of anything, right? We are here not necessarily for the piriformis itself, but to find out what is imbalance in the body that doesn't allow the innate intelligence of your body to be correcting, something that it should. And so that is a key piece to what we're looking at tonight, is the piriformis. Why is that imbalance occurring between one side, that little piriformis muscle in your butt that goes into the sciatic nerve, to the other one? Okay. And so we're going to look kind of in depth at like what I would look at, as we're going. Okay. So by addressing these areas, we can really make a huge difference. Okay. Okay. So Now we're going to start talking. If you get on there and you can see that there is I put in an x-ray up there. Okay. If anybody's on there and would like to comment, what do you see on this x-ray that looks like it's an issue from the little x-ray? We'll go back real quick. Let me go back. Let's look at that guy. Okay. That picture. Look how nice and balanced and even everything looks in this drawing, right? And then I come over here and I see this. What this is showing you is how off this person's standing, right? And so they're cockeyed or something, right? They're imbalanced. Their pelvis is not sitting right. Now, take this image in your head right now. So you have this unbalanced pelvis and go back to a perfectly balanced pelvis. See the difference there? So the reason, and for my podcast people, I'm just showing a pelvis that's unbalanced versus balanced. And what happens to those muscles? What happens if my pelvis looks like that? We have different imbalances throughout that muscle system. One side's going to be tighter than the other, right? The key, in my opinion, it always has been with especially piriformis syndrome, has been in balance. It's been in balance in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so now let's go into some little situations that could cause us some instant. All right, let's go to this was a pretty good video. I was very happy. Okay, so all right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. And you're going to see something. What we want to look at in these videos is I want you to see different, what I call gaits. Okay. There's different walking styles for different issues that occur. And I think this video does a really good job of kind of showing you just kind of basic stuff, right? So this is a lady. Don't know why, but this is what this limp would be, right? See how it's off a little bit? Okay. Now, this is over exaggerated. This is a waddling gait. This is somebody that their hips don't exactly jive. They call it a Parkinson's gait. This is more, I call this an osteoarthritis gait. A lot of times you start getting hunched over and all those arthritic type bones start getting in there, or we sit too much. Okay. This one's a little different because this one's this person after surgery, or they have this thing where their nerve doesn't work in their foot. All right. This is actually a condition that happens. She's a little exaggerated, but I've had a few patients like this. I'll have to give you a really cool story on that scissors gait. That's a neurological condition that can happen. So this one these are the different muscles that are not working exactly correctly. Let's go to here. This one you see in some kind of neurological stuff. Let's get to some of these are going to be neurological conditions. I think that's the only ones I want to bring up. Let's go to here. That'd be a good one. Yeah. So a lot of these gaits that I'm showing you are on purpose exaggerated, right? And she does a really good job with that. But one of the things you have to remember is when we're exaggerating them, The reason we're doing that is because we have little remnants of those as we go. Many of us do not walk properly. Okay. And that what I'm going to bring that up because some of the stuff we'll go over tonight a little bit in like different exercises and those kind of things. It's all good in theory, but one of the reasons piriformis people struggle with it so much is because we treat it all the time. Okay. So there's two things that happen in piriformis that drives me nuts a little bit. Piriformis, we push on the muscle, we say piriformis. So we go after the piriformis muscle and all we do is push on it. And we use the trigger point and we do those kind of things. Yes, it's an effective way to get it kind of loosened up for the moment. But we haven't taught that muscle anything. Like one of my old doctors said, muscles are stupid. They just go where they're told to go. What if you don't fix the alignment of your pelvis? What if you walk funny because you twisted your ankle when you were 8? What if you have one toe that goes out one direction and one toe that goes straight? All of these things are things that you have to look at while you're evaluating it, or the piriformis type scenario is going to come back on you, right? That's why in overall, when we look at the whole body as itself, we're looking for overall health function, right? Versus the piriformis muscle. It immediately snaps in my head that must be the reason, so I'm going to push on it. But what if I told you a lot of it could be fixed by learning how to walk correctly, making sure the mechanics of your joints of your feet are working properly. How about your knees? How about your hips? All of these things can be fixed, and part of it is me and you learning together as we go and improving those scenarios as we go. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. That was one video. Let me get into another one. And I can do some of these 20-seconders. So just remember, YouTube's real tricky on the old. They get real mad. But this one. All right, let me do. Oops. Okay, let's share this one. This one's a very common. This is what most people end up getting done, which helps. I'm not going to say it doesn't help, obviously, but so you find the piriformis muscle and you go into it, and they do a massage on it, right, and move it back and forth. This is a very good technique, by the way, on how to do that. So if you're looking for something, that is a good one. All right. Oh, stop. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay. No, I don't want that part. Okay. So, sorry. So as we go, the biggest thing is like understanding how these work, right? You have 2 of them on either side, just almost as big as your hands. And if they're coming into that tailbone and they're off in just some way, shape, or form, one's tight, one's not, you're gonna keep having those same issues. And the only way to do that is to properly align that whole pelvis, right? The feet all the way up. And the way you do that is practice walking, do some stretching, understanding. Like, I'm going to show you a few stretches here. And what you want to do is always evaluate the stretch from one side to the other. It's not about how much you stretch. It could be super tight. Who cares? As long as they're both super tight, you're working in a good place. But if they're both, one's tight and one's not, that's when you can have major issues. Okay. So here is another one. Oops, shoot, sorry. Here's a little stretch I thought was pretty good. All right. So this one's kind of you cross your leg over. This one's a pretty good one. And then you kind of move back and forth that direction. Watch him do it here. You kind of lean in. That's another good one. And that one's just kind of to make sure it's not your discs, doing those kind of things as well. Okay. So we're going to stop that one. I got to be quick. Let me see. This one was a good one. Okay. So I'm going to show you this one. All right. Skip that. We're going to go to. This one's fantastic to do. So this one, she has a ball in between her legs. And she's kind of squeezing that ball. Okay. And now you're going to actually do a pelvic lift or a pelvic tilt up off of the ground. What this one does well is that it makes you balance both sides while you're holding that ball there. Okay. And that one is really, really good. So as you're doing this stuff, it's really important. And you could do it. We'll have her do one more. And that could really, really make a difference in how that whole thing does it. But see how deliberate she is when she's doing it. Okay. So now we're going to go up to my next favorite is when you cross your leg over. And I show this one in the office every day. And okay, let's move you up. Okay, so now I don't grab that whole knee like that, but if you can grab your thigh. If you can't do that one, there's sometimes you can grab a strap or a belt underneath the thigh on that. And if you pull your leg up like she's doing right there, you're going to notice a big difference. The big thing to remember too, though, is remember you're feeling tightness from one side to the other. You must remember that because it's not about just stretching it. It's about doing that. Okay. Okay. So here's one that you're sitting in a chair. Now there's a couple ways to do that, but as she's leaning forward, that is doing a major stretch there. And you do that one from either side. And I better stop doing that. Okay. Don't want to get booted. So anyway, so as we go, like those are some really good stretches you can do. You can do where you actually sit that piriformis on a tennis ball, or some people use a lacrosse ball. Those are some really good options. A lot of ways to treat it at home, to be honest with you, if you know the difference between that and sciatic nerve. Now, with the sciatic nerve, it's going to feel very similar because the piriformis is involved as well. But that is one reason why to get everything evaluated. No matter if somebody says, hey, it's piriformis syndrome, all I got to do is push on the muscle and it's over. I don't have to do anything else. I just got to keep doing that. That is incorrect. The biggest thing is like, think about if it is sciatica, right? What happens in medical is one of the reasons why chiropractic takes off on this stuff. We fix the mechanics of the spine as best you can. So we bring in energy force to the lower back that helps restore that nerve flow. If the nerve flow starts working right, then it tells the body, hey, this piriformis doesn't have to be as tight anymore. So a lot of people do really, really well getting adjusted and then doing those exercises if the piriformis is an issue. Okay. So then that's a big deal. That's something that we can do, like as we go, right? It's these different things. Now, when people have piriformis issues for a really long time, I recommend, getting out and barefoot walking, having but we'll go through a few of those different things. I forgot. I got to keep presenting. So those are some of the videos that we had there. So what is our best way we can work on this? So I think that the best way to do it is once we are feeling pretty good, right? We're feeling good. We figured it out. We've mastered, gotten out of the piriformis issue because they're super painful, number one. So evaluate your gait and how you walk barefoot. Okay. So how do you do that? You take a moment in your house, in your hallway, outside, whatever you're brave enough to wear bare feet in, and you walk and you see, does my toes go out? Do they go straight? Does my feet feel like they're flowing on the ground? Do I feel like I'm almost springing, or am I pounding, pounding the ground like that? So my suggestion always is get your gait evaluated. Now there's a lot. Well, have a loved one, somebody, take a video of you walking from behind. That is very, very valuable. Very valuable, because most of us don't know how we walk, how we swing, any of those things. So or just set up a selfie stick kind of video and walk away from the phone. Take a look at it yourself personally, and then see, oh man, my one leg doesn't move as much as my other leg. Those are the kind of things that can get you out of piriformis in a really, really good way as far as a preventative goes. Daily stretching of the piriformis is what we went through a little bit today. Making sure that we understand that there's a balance between those piriformises. If there's one that's tighter than the other, then we're going to have issues, right? Your job every single day is to get those muscles balanced in between the two, regardless if you're tight or not. That doesn't really matter, right? It matters if you neglect it. That's what matters. And so every day, if you work on this type of thing, especially in the piriformis glute low back situation, every single day, you're going to notice a big difference. Just life, health, and everything going forward. So just remember that, because the power of low back in your legs and everything else is fantastic. And then the final thing, strengthen your legs. Don't skip leg day. From body squats to weightlifting, just strengthen your legs. There are so many things that they want to tell you that you can strap on your leg or put on a muscle and then, shake it for a little while, and that's going to fix the problem. I see it all the time in infomercials, and, you got this strap for this, and it hits this special acupuncture point, and all of a sudden, magically, everything is fine, right? You didn't learn anything, number one. Number two, as your body didn't change anything. You're still walking with a limp, right? So a lot of those different procedures, they could help relieve the pain. But why? Why are you having the pain? What is the imbalance point? That's the key for all of us to understand. And once we start understanding that, even though it's more of a journey, the better we'll do. Okay. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this, enjoying it pretty good. I like this one, piriformis or the condition week. I really like the herb one, and I really like the motivation one. So I have a hard time figuring out different ones. So hopefully you got something out of this in the piriformis world. And I'll walk you through a couple more things before we end tonight. But what can we do? We can do chiropractic, right? Chiropractic is a big piece of what I would suggest. Making sure all the joints of your human body are working in a great way. Soft tissue therapy like gua sha, trigger point, all those things are something to get us to that next level. Cold laser actually works pretty well for this as well, because you're throwing a really good energy into the joint itself. And so once you get into that joint with these healing cells, it helps the mitochondria grow up, get bigger and active, and it can help the healing process. New shoes. A lot of times getting fitted for really, really good shoes, and understanding, how your foot mechanics work in those shoes is good, right? So lots of options there. Strengthen your hips. Work on your feet strength and your back strength. So these are all big pieces or big players that we really want to do in a lot of different ways. Eat clean sounds so dumb, but like it always comes to, if you have a lot of sugar, you get a lot of inflammation. And so because that inflammation's there, it's harder to get some of these inflammatory piriformis syndromes or any kind of syndrome out of there. One of the things I'll do if somebody's having a inflammation condition, let's say I had a buddy come in and his wrist hurt, right? His wrist got injured. It got sprained he was golfing too much, eating a little bit too much junk food, like on this, he was doing like 18 or 36 holes a day for like 5-6 days. Once he started, and then he had some wrist pain. So one of the things I make him do, yes, we adjusted him, we made him ice it, all the things, all the alls that you would probably do, right? But one of the things that said no sugar for 3 days. He's like, what? I go, no sugar for 3 days. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, because it gets down their inflammation and it'll help us reduce the inflammation. It's not, if you're eating donuts while you're sprained and then you're taking it a leave, you're kind of battling yourself. Right. So it's one of the things that to think about that. If you hurt yourself, try to stay away from it as much as you can. But fake sugar it's pro-inflammatory. So you got to stay away from some of that stuff. Piriformis is no different. There's inflammation in that piriformis muscle. And once that inflammation gets into that piriformis muscle, how can we bring it around? So just remember that. Eat clean. And so get rid of your pro-inflammatory foods, through your refined flour, refined sugar, canola oil, seed oils, all that stuff. And then work on getting really strong legs, which is a big factor in what is happening. We have gotten rid of worrying about the power of our legs for everything else. Gyms don't even have like great leg stuff. They have every other machine to make sure you look your best in all other aspects, which is fine. But we really, really need to start focusing in on those leg days. Leg days make piriformis go away. Leg days is, thanks, Brian. Good. Piriformis is amazing. So, and there's so much to it. Like there's so many different things you can do as long as we start looking at that evaluation. But most of us aren't going to have time to be, and it's kind of awkward asking your loved one, hey, do you mind videoing me from behind? So now you could just do your own selfie stick. I mean, obviously all I see on videos a lot of times is all these kids, video themselves like weightlifting all the time. It's like, I don't remember all that. I was a huge weightlifter. I think they call them meatheads. I lived in it. Oh my God. It was 4 days a week minimum, 4 to 5 days a week minimum. Loved it. It was just a piece of who I was, right? It still is, to be honest with you. I'm like going through a really cool thing I can't wait to tell you guys about. So I did a weightlifting 3 months. Like where you actually body build, those kind of things. And then now I'm into high intensity training right now. So I'm doing, and then I'll do that for 3 months. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do the next 3 months. Right. So I want to kind of get into that. And I'm noticing a big like gain difference, which has been pretty awesome. Because if you do the same thing over and over again, a lot of times you get that, same result. But I just make it part of my lifestyle. Right. And it's one of those that I could not do it. I always recommend, doing it, getting as much of this stuff as close as you can to your home, so I used to love going to the gym, but I talk to so many people all the time already. So I don't need the people interaction. So I made my gym at home. If you have a job where you're not working with a lot of people, the gym is a great place to go. Asking questions, those kind of things. But a lot of these piriformis situations are that the imbalance between the legs is what causes it. And it feels just like the sciatic nerve stuff. So So with that, I don't want to keep you too long. I don't have anything else really tearing it up. But if you guys have any other topics you want me to discuss, remember those. Don't forget in my chat, go to this. This is my Rumble channel. Become a subscriber. You'll get all these different videos that come. I am completely addicted, so I'll be doing this for a really long time. But they'll be there. And as we get better and better at them, I'm hoping to get a few interviews, those kind of things as well. So, and we are podcast at The Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey, is the place you can find it at Apple or Spotify. We just keep growing and growing. So with that said, guys, enjoy the rest of your night. I saw if you guys are not sports people, but it's like game 7 of the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's pretty cool. I don't watch a ton of basketball until they get to this level where it's like, okay, this is it. Anyway, all right, you guys have a great night.